If you would like him to pull a comeback victory, give a cheer for your green Protoss, the Swede, Naniwa.
And if you would like the red Terran player, Terran, to seal it up here 2-0, give a cheer, guys. I think they like Naniwa still.
Sounds like a lot of people came from Sweden. Actually, are there Swedes here today? Woo! Yeah, glad to have all three of you here, yeah. Anyone from Southern California here today? So biased.
That's the winner, yeah.
So it looks like Terran will be going for a wall off at his front, and I mean, I don't know your thoughts, JP, but I'm really feeling like he's just going to be doing another straight up flat early expand.
Yeah, probably going to do that, especially on a map like this. That's really what a lot of Terran players are favoring, is that fast expand. You really aren't under too much pressure unless your opponent, like Naniwa, just decides to foregate. But we saw last game, Major handled that pretty well.
He ended up absolutely manhandling it. And Naniwa, though, is a huge fan of going for the 14 Nexus on this map. And now that I've brought that up, he's going to throw down a 13 Gateway because he's a jerk.
Yeah, it's a caster's curse, man.
I know that is true. Literally, as soon as he possibly can after you've made the prediction, he will prove it wrong. So Naniwa looks like he is going for a fairly economic play. He's actually getting his gas geyser on 15 supply. That's always the big signifier of how someone's going to be aggressive or maybe long-term focused when they build those gas geysers. Cannot emphasize that enough.
Now, to step outside of the game a little bit, you got to always bring in emotions into a tournament like this.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest stages for Starcraft, too. And Naniwa, as of late, has been a really emotional player in a lot of these tournaments, especially in the regionals. So being down a game, Sean, as an ex-professional player yourself, really, where's his state of mind?
I appreciate you slipping in that ex-professional in there, JP, up top, man, making me look good. But from Naniwa's perspective, I feel like he has a lot of pressure because he's not a player who's thinking this is a chance to really prove myself. Instead, a lot of people are looking at this tournament as, hey, this is a chance for you to get back to where you were before. He came right out the gate at 2011, winning major tournaments, going undefeated in huge fields, and then had a tremendous tumble throughout 2011. So he has a lot of weight on his back. Terran, on the other hand, doesn't have nearly as much. He has been practicing largely only for this tournament and been training a lot in Korea and has not made that big splash, so he doesn't really have anything to prove.
Do you think that he's more likely to take risk in this game, Sean, since he is up 1-0?
I think Terran is the sort of player who just does not like risky plays. He's going to just stick with standard openings and do later game aggression.
All right, so going back over into Naniwa's base, we saw he got that quick second assimilator. Here comes that second gateway.
And it's mighty fast, too.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of looking similar to what we saw last game. Is he going to throw down these two more gateways? Does he have a forward? No, he does not have a probe anywhere on the map. So are we going to see an expansion go down, possibly?
I mean, we're seeing Terran again do essentially the identical thing. And one of my favorite sayings is that he is doing the perfect skeleton opening in this matchup. The basic skeleton is 3 barracks, an expansion, and a starport with a reactor. There's a lot of different ways to do it, to get a lot of upgrades earlier, maybe get the medevacs a little faster, but this is the most basic way to open a Terran versus Protoss game. Naniwa, on the other hand, is leaving a lot of options open with these 2 sentries. He's going to be throwing down the expand. Ordinarily, you'd hate to have your opponent see this, but keep in mind, Naniwa built it and canceled it in the last game.
And the SCV still alive. Looks like Naniwa will. I thought he was going to wait for it, but he will throw down the Nexus. And there it goes. And meanwhile, back in Terran's base, he's actually added on those 2 more racks. Getting the tech lab on one of them might just favor Marines for the moment, Sean.
Yeah, Terran actually loves getting an early tech lab, getting an early stim. Why, JP? Because he loves attacking, wants to get right in his opponent's face ASAP. And meanwhile, it looks like Terran is doing these little pokes and prods with his Marines. It's so easy to go into passive mode and just sit comfily in that nice warm bunker and sip cocoa. But Terran has no cocoa for his Marines, JP. He wants them to attack as much as possible.
We see a forge going down here for Naniwa. Does that really signify, as well as a robotics facility? I mean, is he going to be getting armor here, or is he going to be getting ground weapons? What do you think?
It is time to make a bold prediction, JP McDaniel. I have seen Naniwa do a similar style to this, where he begins getting upgrades right away and goes straight into Colossi production. And then he gets these sentries to help force field for defense while he gets everything up. Again, one of the reasons why Protosses love this map, easily force fieldable front.
We don't see any upgrades just yet for Terran. We actually, was that a, oh no, the Stalker's still here. Hasn't been taken out at all, though. He does have concussive shells on that Marauder, so he needs to be careful, and he is going to fall back. Now, is Terran going to get more aggressive? I love these little pokes that he's doing here. He's keeping his opponent in check. I think you mentioned this as well. It's so smart to see
so
things
great.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's poking out, and look at this. He's even leaving most of his units back home. Right now, Naniwa, freaking me out. If that Marauder lands one hit on that Stalker, the Stalker is good as dead because of that slow. So that is the reason for my heart palpitations. Losing a Stalker at this phase in the game is just brutal to deal with. And it looks like Terran is doing the aggressive version of this opening, opting for all the upgrades right off the bat, doing these little pokes and prods, and eventually he'll get medevacs.
Now we have a second Immortal started here for Naniwa. The first one already out, of course, the Immortal, one of the units that received a huge buff in the latest patch, increasing its range. How do you think it really factors into this matchup now with that increase to the range, Sean?
Well, ordinarily you use the Immortals for defense, and maybe you incorporate a lot of them late game, but weirdly Naniwa is getting a decent number of them in the mid game. He's either really worried about a large attack, or he's preparing for some sort of big aggression. The reason you don't really want those Immortals early is because, well, looks like one Zealot didn't get the stay-at-home memo. He just went out and wanted to explore, and he was punished for his curiosity.
A scan coming down from Terran into Naniwa's main base. He does not see any tech, just that robotic facility. We see another Marine here. I'm not sure if he saw the Immortals there in the backfield, but it looks like is Terran going to go for some pressure here.
Oh, Terran's got to be careful.
Got to be careful, though. They're in the force field. This is not going to end up good.
Oh, my gosh. Terran received what we call the Protoss hug. He just snuggled up with those force fields and shot him with a gun. I mean, I can understand pinning someone against the wall and punching him, but pinning him against a force field and shooting him, that is just brutal, Naniwa. And these Immortals, again, you don't really want a lot of them early. They're not good at dealing with drop play. They're so slow. They're only good in direct engagements. So if you are getting those Immortals early, you had better be planning to attack. And that looks like exactly what Naniwa is doing.
Now, right when he lost those units, Terran threw up 3 bunkers immediately. He's got the units inside of him. Is he going to pull SCVs to repair, or is Naniwa just not going to engage? He might use the Immortals to tank before moving in. Does not have a forward pylon just yet, but there is a probe over here at the Xel'Naga Tower in the center.
Yeah, and look at this. Naniwa getting up to 6 gateways. There's his robotics bay. He's going to stick on 2 bases, and again, Naniwa just wants to hug.
That's
picking off as many units as he can.
That's one of the times where it's not the best time to poke.
That is absolutely true. And you know, that is the classic downfall of very aggressive players. If you can play aggressively, you feel like an absolute genius. You're freaking your opponent out, hitting him at every point when he seems weak. But if you make so much as 1 or 2 big missteps, you can lose way more than you're expecting. Look at that units lost tab. Wow. Terran has lost 3 times as much as Naniwa.
And the supply is still very close. We had a Marine checking the would-be 3rd and 4th base here for Naniwa, but he did not already see that the 3rd base is down. And that is the luckiest Zealot ever.
That Zealot had the 3rd sense. 6th sense. What?
Listen. 3rd sense? He could smell? They actually don't have noses now, if you think about it.
That is true. That must be a great blessing for those poor Zealots when they get their cereal box and there's a scratch and sniff sticker, but they just have that flat part where the nose should be. If only they got just a regular toy.
Poor guys.
There's a game going on right now, and it looks like the double forge is down for Naniwa, making sure to get those long-term upgrades. He has his Colossus out. This is the perfect expansion to take when you are going Colossus play because you can easily walk up and down the high ground and even shoot from up on high. And Terran's really going to have to be the one to put pressure back on his opponent.
And we see here Colossus are out. When is he going to be moving out? We'll have to kind of wait and see it. Here's a drop actually occurring, but there's really nothing for him to kill except for the Stalker up in the north. Looks like he wants to try to snipe a 3rd base, but he has not seen the fact that it's already up next to the main. As he goes down, he won't find anything. Maybe just going to go for a natural.
Everything that Naniwa's doing is long-term. Getting the upgrades for a big army later. Getting Blink. This will help him defend against drops, so he can have a good economy for later. Beginning to get that Colossus count very high. No aggression is really planned for Naniwa. And Terran is trying to do his best. Whoa, that must feel very weird. Have the Zealot get warped in next to you.
Yeah, I feel like that Naniwa's just playing 1 step ahead this entire game. I mean, after that big engagement at his ramp with the force fields, he's just really been so far ahead of his opponent.
And, I mean, Terran is in a very awkward situation. He was favoring these upgrades very early on, but notice he doesn't have enough gas to get the upgrades and get the Ghosts and get the Vikings up at the same time. He's pinched for money, and as a result, he's just going to have a very weak army. Doesn't mean he can't win, but it does mean he can't really put any pressure on Naniwa.
See the third Colossus coming out real quick. Going into the unit tab, 69 probes to the 58 SCVs here for these two players. And where is Terran going to be going? You know, he does have a couple of Vikings out, producing only 2 at a time, so he didn't go for that double starport play just yet.
Yeah.
But is he going to go for a big attack here, Sean?
Well, some of the most important points on the map are these little pods right here. The Colossi can wander up on top of them and become easy targets for the Vikings, and likewise, Vikings can hide on the other side and blast down the Colossi. You might think, well, hey, why not just blink on top and then defend my Colossus? Well, then you cannot run from the Marine Marauder armies. You are tightly packed with those EMPs. It becomes a very risky situation. That's not where you want to go.
Well, it might actually live because he does. Oh, he does have blink. Is he going to get it?
No, he loses it. And it looks,
Naniwa is just all over the
round
place,
3 coming up. He's moving. If first you don't succeed, try. No, don't try again. Let's just go hide up on the high ground. Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
Round
3. Naniwa just playing so well, dealing with these drops like I've never seen before, Sean. He is just all over the map. He's making sure that Terran cannot do anything to his economy.
I feel like I'm watching a Bruce Lee movie, and I'm thinking, how does he have that many forearms to block punches? Flying up left and right, but of course he researched the Stalker forearm upgrade to help him stop all of those drops. The Vikings are continuing to pop out, and look at this 3-3 upgrades. Naniwa is just going to play calm, easy, slow, get up as many units as he can. And with these 8 gateways to reinforce, he is going to be throwing a massive punch at the Terran right now.
I love the fact that Naniwa stopped at 3 Colossus. If you look at Terran's Vikings, he just has so many resources that could have been spent in another part of his army. But it looks like we are going to see the engagement here, Sean.
And there it is, EMPs going off, hitting the same place twice. Large blunder from Terran. The Vikings are ripping this army apart. The Colossi doing a great amount of damage, but the Archons cannot really get into the fray. Terran looks like he's coming out a little bit on top, but once the Archons get into the action, it is going to look very downhill for Terran. The Blinkstalkers trying to control, and those 3 Immortals doing massive damage. The army is cleaned up. The Mules don't even have an attack. They are scared to death.
Yeah, those Immortals really are the game winners right there for Naniwa, doing so much damage. And is he going to push into the natural? Looks like he will deny the third base.
And there's Terran lifting up. He's going to try to get away, but I have a feeling that Naniwa might show off those forearms again with a nice little blink up onto the high ground. No, he has them in their holsters for now, but Terran is running low on options, JP.
Yeah, we see Terran moving out with the small army behind the army of Naniwa. Looks like he kind of wants to engage here, Sean. I'm not sure if that would be the best idea. It looks like he's a little bit hesitant himself.
It's a very weird feeling when you are used to being the aggressor and you have to sit and play defensively. Ordinarily, when you're playing defensively, you get that, oh, I got to do damage. That is even more so for those aggro players.
Look how many units Naniwa is able to warp in there. Let's do a real quick count of his gateways, Sean. Looks like he's up to a total of, I believe, 10.
Gosh.
So he is just in full-on macro mode, getting his 4th base. It's already complete. 60 supply ahead. He's about to see another engagement here. Can he cut these forces off? No, he doesn't even really have sentries, so.
Well, I mean, Naniwa doesn't even need sentries so much. I mean, there's this funny moment that happens in this matchup where if you get enough Archons, it doesn't matter how many Ghosts he has, he can't EMP enough. We see the 2 Ghosts from Terran in the unit station. Look at this, 16 Marauders, 19 Marines, 3 Ghosts versus 30 Zealots, 6 Archons, 2 Colossi, and those 3 Immortals are the real heroes. 8 kills on one, 12 on the other.
Yeah, and these 3-3 upgrades, that's really going to allow those Archons to get in and deal so much damage. It looks like Naniwa wants to force the fight.
Oh, the Archons are in the front, and there's the EMPs. Do manage to land on the Archons, but there are a whole slew of Zealots overrunning. 300 did not defeat Persia in this movie.
GG, we're going to game 3, Sean.
Naniwa takes the win. A great display of skill there by Naniwa. That was some almost perfect defensive play.
Yeah, I don't think a drop ever actually did a single thing for Terran there. He defended every single one.
You know, it's almost that opposite logic where Naniwa sees the drop coming and he's like,